What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, bringing you episode 17 of the Eagles Fifth Down, which, if you're new here, it is my series where I could talk about all thing Eagles that is on my brain. And today, in just under 16 days, the most polarizing storyline going into the draft for my Philadelphia Eagles does not involve a first-round pick. Last year, we had all the kinds of drama about Carson Wentz. Are we getting Goff? What are we doing with that trade up? The year before that, all kinds of drama. Are we going to trade half the goddamn team to get Marcus Mariota? This year, it revolves around the second-round pick and a polarizing player known as Joe Mixon, the running back from Oklahoma. Now, this is kind of my video here to set the record straight and defend myself, as I have mentioned many times and through numerous mock drafts that I want the Philadelphia Eagles to get Joe Mixon, but I've never made a video explaining why. It's always just a quick little blurb about why, you know, I like this and I don't want to look at this and I want to ignore this. Well, now let's put all the cards out on the table and give you my opinion, not only why I think the Philadelphia Eagles should select Joe Mixon, but maybe to persuade those that don't believe Joe Mixon belongs on this Eagles organization, why they should get off their fucking high horse and want to draft Joe Mixon. So we'll talk about the player on the field itself first, because the second issue is, I think, what's getting a lot of people up here in arms. So really, look at the strengths and weaknesses of Joe Mixon. There's a reason why a lot of people in the scouting community compare him to Le'Veon Bell. It's because he's pretty much Le'Veon Bell in college. The biggest concerns for Joe Mixon, one is pass protection. Can he necessarily jump right in and compete at an NFL level in pass protection? Because I don't think he ever did it in college once, because anytime they were having that, they just bring in the monster Samaje Perine, who's almost 250 pounds. Clearly, you want him to be it. But I don't think it's that big of an issue. I mean, Mixon's 230. He should be able to at least get in the way, and it should be his trait that he could certainly develop. And then the other big knock is his patience. People think he's too patient behind the line of scrimmage. Well, that's what Le'Veon Bell's doing right now, and that's what a lot of people are saying is revolutionizing the game. Like, whereas Richard Sherman a couple years ago, that's what everyone wanted in a cornerback. Everyone wanted that big, rangy outside guy. Oh, this guy used to play wide receiver. So did Richard Sherman. Now he's playing corner. Holy Christ, we're going to get the next Richard Sherman. The league goes through phases, and the phase right now is getting running backs that look like David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell, and that is Joe Mixon. I'm sorry, Dalvin Cook, you're not that. Christian McCaffrey, I really like Christian McCaffrey. You're not really that. You're not big enough. But that 220-plus pound guy that can catch the ball and plays like a wide receiver, that is what everyone wants. And the fact that Joe Mixon, trust me, he's not going in the first round. I think him slipping is going to be everyone in the media's justification out of the first round to the second round or third round and beyond as punishment for what happened off the field. You can't go wrong, and that's what we need here in Philadelphia. So the positives of Joe Mixon, for those of you who have never seen a goddamn thing, just look at his highlight tape. He's one of the few players, if you look at his highlight tape, you'll actually get an accurate representation of what he brings to the field, because every play he has is almost a highlight. He is phenomenal burst to be able to get to the outside. Some of the best hands out of the running back, maybe even the wide receivers. You put this guy at the wide receivers, you couldn't tell what position he plays. And if we didn't sign Alshon Jeffrey in free agency, there is no doubt in my mind Joe Mixon would probably come in with the best hands on the team, and he'd be a running back. You know, he missed tackle machine. He forced a missed tackle once every almost 4 touches. That is ridiculous. Every 4 touches. That's like Carlos Henderson, the wide receiver out of LA Tech, I think. LA Tech? Yeah, we'll go with LA Tech. That's his biggest feature, is that he made a lot of people miss tackles. No one almost did that as much as Joe Mixon, the running back spot. It's a way harder to make people miss tackles as a running back than it is a wide receiver. Great quickness, great agility. The fact that he is really, if you look at him, he looks like a receiving running back, but he's so big at 230 pounds, he can lean forward, get yards at the contact, churn, and move the pile. He is the perfect running back in this year's draft class. And the fact that Philadelphia desperately needs to add a playmaking running back. Darren Sproles is not going to be here much longer. Darren Sproles, this is his last hurrah. I hope we can get him into the playoffs, at least have a nice little run for him. But he's gone after this year. Ryan Matthews, as soon as he's cleared by doctors, he's cut. So right now, looking for the foreseeable future, Wendell Smallwood is really the only running back on the roster. You have Byron Marshall, who, I mean, I think there's some upside with Byron Marshall, but Wendell Smallwood is not the answer in Philadelphia. We saw last year he does not have the durability to be that 3-down, 16-game starter at the running back spot, and we need that, and that is Joe Mixon. You need to give a guy like Joe Mixon the benefit of the doubt, which brings you, so right now you're probably like, whoa, sign me up, second round for a guy that's pretty much Le'Veon Bell. Why are people not wanting him? It's because of the off-the-field issues. And here's the thing. Clear as day, regardless of how, you know, this is where the video is going to get people that get some, it's going to ruffle some jimmies over here. At the end of the day, you know, I've looked at this thing from both sides of the argument. From one side being, I'm a fan of a team that desperately needs a running back. Joe Mixon is the perfect fit for our offense. He's the perfect fit for a Doug Peterson offense. And then you have the side that you need to understand, what if the woman he hit was someone in your family? What if it was your sister or your cousin, or, I don't know, obviously it wouldn't work in that scenario, but your mother or something like that. It wouldn't really matter what the circumstances is. You're actually going to view that as an elite athlete putting his hands on a woman. So I completely understand those that say they can't morally get behind Joe Mixon. That is your own prerogative. But I think for those of you that aren't really well informed on the issue, the bottom line is this. Joe Mixon got hit by the woman put his hands on Joe Mixon first, and according to Joe Mixon, she dropped some racial slurs before he fucking knocked her the hell out. Put it that way. So depending on, you know, what stance you want to look at, there's a reason why there's no real legal action, because the woman put his hands on Joe Mixon first. And at the end of the day, technically, that is self-defense from Joe Mixon. Clearly, if I'm a general manager, there are 10 trillion ways Joe Mixon could have handled that situation differently. There was no reason for him to put hands on that woman. But the bottom line of this entire story is that it's classified as self-defense. All right? At the end of the day, he was self-defending himself from a woman. I watched it, man. She actually kind of hit him. I mean, clearly he was embellishing. The police report said that it felt like a man hit him and stuff like that. But, you know, if he had a good lawyer, he would have just defended self-defense, because that chick actually kind of hit him. Like, that was some of those things. If that was some random drunk chick that put her hands on me, I'd fucking, I don't know, I'd just body slam her. No fists, wouldn't punch her. I would just give her a fucking bear hug and squeeze her until she would, like, I don't know. But there's, like I said, a football player, you could do that. You could just control her, restrain her. You didn't have to fucking knock her out. But, end of the day, as someone that desperately needs a running back in the caliber of a Joe Mixon would be a perfect fit in our offense. Joe Mixon would be, you know, a contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year, no doubt, in our scheme, because he'd be the starter. I think the only issue you'd have with that claim that he'd be an Offensive Rookie of the Year is because Darren Sproles would probably still get a lot of work on the pass-catching downs. But all those things, that's why you gotta go Joe Mixon. He was self-defensing himself for his off-the-field issues. He has no more out-the-field issues than a player like Dalvin Cook. He's a perfect fit for our team, and we are an organization that is known for giving players second chances. We have so many of those guys in our history. Michael Vick. We got DGB. We got, oh, I can't think. Someone made a list on Facebook or Twitter the other day. We had a bunch of people on the roster that have had issues in the past, and we've just Nelson Aguilar at the strip club. Like I said, we can work with that. We have a strong locker room. We have goddamn Brian Dawkins in the building. All right, if we draft Joe Mixon and there is any slight of worry that we have a player maker that may have some other field issues, I'm having Brian Dawkins, who's whatever the hell he is, player personnel rep. He is chilling with Joe Mixon this offseason. He's got to teach him everything that it takes, not only be a man, because that's what maybe Joe Mixon needs it. Maybe he needs a father figure. What a better guy than Brian fucking Dawkins. He needs a guy that can show him how to be professional. Brian Dawkins. All those things. Darren Sproles. Even Darren Sproles, man. Darren Sproles. One of the best good guys in the NFL. He can learn a thing or two from a guy like Darren Sproles. It'd be an excellent situation on the locker room standpoint, not only him being the perfect fit on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm still waiting for the report that the Philadelphia Eagles have bring him in on a pre-draft workout or visit, and if they don't do that, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. As like I said, Joe Mixon is my favorite prospect in this year's draft class for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the fact that we can get him second round, even the slight possibility, I don't know necessarily now that we traded down with the Baltimore Ravens, but the slight possibility that he could be there in the third round, the fact that I think he is the steal of the draft and would be a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles is why Philly should pull the trigger. As always, though, guys, this is a polarizing topic. It's literally one that can split fans down the middle. It seems like more often than not, people on my channel that support me kind of go in the favor of a Joe Mixon. But if you certainly don't see that point of view, feel free to let me know in the comment section below what you feel about Philadelphia trying to draft Joe Mixon in the second round. Now, that's the key in this one as well. A lot of people, you look at mock drafts of the people that say, oh, yeah, Philly's going to trade the number 14 for 3 first-round picks and just make unrealistic stuff. They're the kind of people that still think that Joe Mixon's going to be there in the 5th and 4th round. The bottom line is that Philadelphia truly wants to add Joe Mixon to this roster for next season. We're going to have to pull the trigger on him in the second round. So that's why I'm going to say you guys are going to catch my final Eagles mock draft in middle next week. I actually think it will come out Wednesday, where the draft is Thursday night. We got to go corner, running back, corner. Corner, Joe Mixon, corner. That is the formula for success for Joe Douglas, Howie Roseman, and all Eagle fans out this year. But I'm looking forward to hear from you guys and what you guys think. But until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.